Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the California Dream, the podcast where we talk about all things California. So I wanted to share with you in this bonus episode. So these bonus episodes are just episodes where I just have a commentary on something I happen to be thinking about, something that's on my mind. I ran across this paper that came out a couple days ago. This was from the European Council on Foreign Relations. So you can go to ecfr.eu to get this. And this is a major European think tank, especially on foreign policy. And it offers some insight into how the rest of the world, in particular Europeans, now view the United States and the incoming Biden administration. And I think it's interesting to go through some things that I found on here. I would recommend everybody, if you're interested in it more, you can read the entire paper. It's not that long. It shouldn't take 15 or 20 minutes. But I want to point out some things here that I found. So one thing that I thought was really striking here, right in the second paragraph of the introduction, I'm going to highlight this. So it said one survey showed that our survey showed that European attitude toward the United States have undergone a massive change. And this is the key part. Majorities in key member states now think the U.S. political system is broken and that China will be more powerful than the U.S. within a decade. Okay, so this was a survey taken of 11 countries throughout Europe, had a sample size of 15,000 people. So this is not a small survey. It was undertaken by the European Council on Foreign Relations in November and December of last year by Datapraxis and YouGov, and it was before the events of this January. So this was people saying this in Europe before what happened on January 6th. And I want to repeat the very first sentence of the introduction here. So they give a summary, and then they have the introduction, and the very first sentence here. Americans have a new president, but not a new country. That's a direct quote from this paper. Quote, Americans have a new president, but not a new country. You know, I think this is something that speaks to what a lot of people in America are thinking now. They're thinking, oh, we got rid of Trump. We've got Biden. Things are going to look up now. Things are going to be different. And this is really not recognizing the fact that there's actually quite a bit of continuity between administrations, and that you can't just snap your fingers when you get a new president inaugurated and think that you can just do a 180 and everything's going to be a fresh start and everything. That's not the way the rest of the world looks at relations, and it's not the way that Europeans are interpreting the election results here. So one of the major findings that they found here, kind of to summarize, is if you compare Europeans' attitude towards, say, George W. Bush in the 2000s, and you compare that to how they feel about Biden, it's very interesting to compare the two. So they definitely have better feelings toward this incoming Biden administration than they did George W. Bush. But what's interesting is even though they didn't like Bush, they respected the fact that he had the power to shape the world. So they thought that the U.S. still had the kind of power that we associate with it. And even though they prefer Biden now, they doubt that America has the same power that it had. So here's a quote. This is the quote from here. I'm just going to quote this entire paragraph. It says, in the run-up to the Iraq War in 2003, European countries were divided on whether to align with George Bush's America over values, but few doubted his power to shape the world. The opposite is true with Biden. Many Europeans believe in his promise to re-engage internationally, but after witnessing America's response to COVID-19 and domestic polarization, most doubt Washington's capacity to shape the world. So they like the outcome of the election. of 2020, but they doubt the efficacy of the new administration. They doubt that they're going to be able to do what they say they're going to do. Another striking result, this really blew me away here. I'm looking now at a graphic where they asked people, basically, do you trust America not to elect another Donald Trump? So again, quoting, they say, but although a majority of Europeans are happy with Biden's election, many do not trust the American electorate not to vote for another Donald Trump in 4 years. And this is what we've been saying for a while, that, okay, great, you got Biden in. There's no assurance that you're going to run into the same kind of issue with another Trump-like figure running again in 4 years or 8 years and getting voted into office. This is really big here. Only 27% really have confidence that the United States will not elect another Donald Trump. Looking at the results for Europe as a whole, 32% of all respondents agree that after voting for Trump, Americans cannot be trusted, and only 27% disagree. The remainder, which would be 41%, aren't sure. So only 27% have confidence that we're not going to elect a person like Donald Trump again. So I thought that was a very interesting result that they found. The reason I bring this up is I think it's always useful to think about how the rest of the world views the United States, views American foreign policy. We tend to be a little bit myopic here in the States, and we don't really understand how the rest of the world sees us. So this is really giving some insight that Europeans are starting to recognize, or they have an opinion, that the United States is kind of in decline. They think that within a decade, 10 years, that China is going to overtake the United States. They don't trust that we're going to not elect someone like Donald Trump again. And, they just see the alliance between the United States and Europe, this transatlantic alliance, they see as being damaged. They don't think that it can be put back together very easily. They do go on and talk about the 4 political tribes. I'm not going to get too much into this. It has to do with whether Europeans think that the American political system is broken, and whether they think a European political system is broken. So there's 2 possibilities for each of those. So you put them together, there's 4 different tribes. So I thought it was interesting how they broke people down into those 4 different groups. Another interesting stat here, they asked people which statement best reflects your view. So one of them was, I think the U.S. is more likely to be consumed by internal problems and divisions, and there will be little scope left to invest in solving global problems. So basically what they're asking is, do you think that the internal divisions inside the country are going to be enough that the United States is not able to address problems in a manner that they need to? And then the other statement is the U.S. is more likely to repair its internal problems and divisions and invest in solving global problems, climate change, Mideast relations, European security. Now, it is true that more Europeans said that they think that the U.S. is likely to repair its internal problems and divisions, but still only about half. So there's a lot of people who are on the fence. They said, well, I don't know one way or another. So that's a little bit disconcerting. Many Europeans' perceptions of the U.S. political system as broken seem to make them doubt whether America will be able to return to global leadership in the manner that Biden promised. Across the 11 surveyed countries, 51% of respondents do not subscribe to that view. So 51% are not able to say that they have confidence in America to address its internal divisions in a way that they can address other problems. And when it comes to China, 6 out of 10 respondents think China will be more powerful than the U.S. within 10 years. So I would encourage people to go and, really read this if you're into this kind of stuff. It's a very interesting survey that was taken. And I just want to kind of go towards the bottom here. there was a quote that really struck me at the bottom. So in the conclusion of the paper, there's a paragraph here that I thought was very interesting. So here is the paragraph that really struck me in the conclusion. Quote, "The Biden administration is coming to power at a moment when Trump's America First policy has failed to provide Washington with greater global influence, while a return to Obama's strategy is not viewed as realistic because of America's unreliability and waning power. A majority of Europeans doubt that Biden can put Humpty Dumpty back together again." Unquote. I like the way they said that. A majority of Europeans doubt that Biden can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So what they're saying is Europeans, by and large, do not agree that Biden will be capable of repairing foreign relations. Again, I think that's very interesting, the view that they have there. So I will put a link to this in the description, but I would really recommend, if you're interested in this kind of thing, to read the entire thing. It's not very long and has a lot of interesting pieces of information in it.